Hello everyone and welcome back to my channel. My name is Jacopo Lazzaretti and in this video we will learn how to play the rest stroke. We'll talk about what it is, why we need it, when to use it, as well as some practical applications. So make sure you stick until the very end of this video and let's start. The rest stroke is one way to play a string. It is called also apoyando or appoggiato, and they all mean the same thing, which is the act of resting a finger on a given string after you've played the one just before. So it looks something like this. So you're on the string, you're about to play it, and then once you've played it, you land or you rest your finger on the string just before. The reason why we need it is simple. So when we're playing the guitar, we can think of in terms of tools. So the more tools you have, the better and the more beautiful your performance is going to be. So think of it as a tool. So if you can play the rest stroke, it's one more tool in your arsenal under your fingers that you can use in your repertoire. So it's worth to know how to play it in all its different nuanced ways. Usually the rest stroke is used in different situations, and the most common is the scale-like passage. So for example, you may have a C major scale in a piece and you can play that with the free stroke, but you can also play it with the rest stroke. Another way of using the rest stroke is, for example, in an arpeggio, you want to highlight a specific note. So for example, or another situation could be that when you're playing a finger with a thumb, for example, thumb and index finger, you will be playing the finger with the rest stroke and the thumb with the free stroke. This is probably because you want to highlight that melody on the first string. So there are different situations, and again, it's always, because it is a tool, it's your call when to use it. The next question is, how do we play the rest stroke? So let's start with one finger. A few things we need to keep in mind. First of all, the position. So if we're playing for example, the E string, the knuckle of the finger that is playing the string shouldn't be directly above, but it should be 2 or 3 strings behind. So for example, I'm playing the first string, my knuckle is kind of above the third and the fourth string, and it shouldn't be above. That's the very first thing. The second thing is, where does the movement come from? Think of it this is like it's one thing. It's not 3 different things, it's one thing. So the movement starts from here, from the knuckle joint. You don't want to start it from the middle joint. First of all, it's very difficult, but then you'll also get quite a thin sound. So always start from the knuckle joint and engage the whole finger. The other thing is are the components of this movement. Now you see just one movement, kind of one direction, but actually there are 3 phases that you want to practice first, very slowly, which are the preparation. So you rest your finger on the string, you don't do anything else, you just rest the finger, then you apply some pressure, and it's not vertical pressure, it's just the pressure which comes from the way the finger is placed. So you're kind of moving diagonally towards the inside of the guitar, and then there is the release. And after the release, it's very important that you relax your finger, or you empty your finger. And you can see whether your finger has relaxed or not by looking at the string that you've just landed. If the string is it's been pulled towards the string above, so in this case the third string, then you have not relaxed your finger, but you also feel tension in your hand. If the string is where it's meant to be, and where it's meant to be without your finger being there, so you're actually just touching the string but you're not doing anything to it, then the finger has emptied, has relaxed. So these are the kind of important things to know and to be able to do when we're playing the rest stroke with one finger. The second thing when it comes to rest stroke is alternation, and we're going to talk about I am alternation. You want to think about it as if it was a walking motion. So there is you never have two fingers on the same string doing something like this, because it will work slowly, but as you get faster you'll have problems. Nor you want to have fingers jumping in the air. Again, it works slowly, you're doing like a rest stroke motion like at a slow tempo, but if you go faster you will have your hand jumping about like crazy. So what you want to do, when one finger, no, I've played the index, the middle finger is prepared. As the middle finger is about to hit and play the string, the index finger is going to prepare, and so on. So there is this kind of continuous walking motion that will help you get faster and faster. When you're doing this slowly, you can exaggerate the movement, but as you get faster, the movements will become smaller and smaller. As always, make sure you relax after each stroke. So make sure you practice that, and that is best practiced slowly. So remember, first practice with one finger and then start the alternation, maybe I am, and just see how it goes, how it feels in the hand, and so on. The very last thing that I would like to share in this video is a little bit of personal history. So with me I have this book, which is the Italian version of the First Lessons for Guitar by Julio Sagreras, and I had this book with me for now 20 years, and I just would like to share what Sagreras says about the rest stroke. So in this first page, which you are not able to see because of the light, there are some instructions about the left hand, about fingering. So there is left hand, right hand, and it's basically saying there's going to be like a symbol that looks like a V upside down, which means to accentuating, to play like with an accent a given note, and then the finger that strikes the string needs to fall on the string immediately above. And how? By sliding the fingertip, and with a nail very, very short. And then later on in that page it says how the word accenting has been swapped with the word resting in Spanish, where it's going to be Apoyando, and in Italian here the translation, it goes from accentare, which means to use an accent, to appoggiare, which means to rest. And this page is from Buenos Aires, November 1938. And then in the other page, before we get on to the lesson 1, there is a little bit of an introduction of, basically it says, almost 20 years ago, and here it's more than 20 years ago, speaking with my greatest colleague, the guitarist Miguel Yupe, I asked him what he would teach as a first lesson to those students who didn't know anything. And he answered me that he would make them play the open strings many, many times in order to get the finger used to playing, even though the student didn't know anything about which notes they were playing. And explains how this lesson is unbeatable, because you need to, as a student, you need to realize how basically you realize the correct position and posture of the guitar. So it's basically saying this lesson is really, really, really difficult, but it's very, very useful. So I'll put it here, and we're going to do this exercise together just now. So a little bit of instructions. We're going to play open strings. We're going to alternate I am. We're going to play this with the rest stroke. We're playing from the first to the sixth string and back. Now it's very important when we are playing the rest stroke to rest also the thumb on the sixth string whilst playing the first, second, third, maybe the fourth strings. It depends on your hand. And then when we are on the fourth string, we can lift the thumb in the air, and then we go on the fifth, on the sixth, then we go back on the fifth, on the fourth, and then when we are on the fourth, 3rd string, then we can put the thumb back on the 6th string. The reason why we're doing this is to give some extra stability to the hand. Not only we're resting here on the guitar, but we're also having the thumb as an extra point of support. So let's start. You can practice this together. So we'll start with the 1st string. 1, 2, 3, 4. Then remember to lift the thumb. Then we go back. Then we can rest the thumb back on the 3rd string. Now, a very simple exercise like this might be dismissed as too simple, but I think it's very useful to use in a warm-up setting or even in a technique session. And once you have made yourself familiar with the notes you're playing, the way you're playing it, you can further develop your technique and your tools by doing some variations on this exercise. The first variation that could be, for example, is dynamics. So you can decide to play this exercise piano or forte. You can even do like a crescendo and then a diminuendo. You can work on colors, whether it's forte or piano, whether you're playing here also. And you can also explore articulation. So for example, you could play staccato, for example. And then I think it's the case of deciding whether you are leaving that open string ringing on like this or you're stopping it. It depends on the articulation pattern that you choose. And then the very last thing, which is also very useful, is to make sure you don't practice just 2 fingers, so I am, but you also practice M-I, M-A, A-M, I-A, and then AI. So you practice them all, so you make your hand really aware and used to all these different combinations. Now we've reached the very end of this video. If you have enjoyed it and found something useful, please consider clicking the like button, and if you are new to this channel, you can subscribe. This will help the channel a lot. And thinking about this exercise, this is an exercise that sits really well in a warm-up session or in a practice routine session. And talking about practice routine, last week I've shared a video about my practice routine, how it came to be. So if you're curious, please do check that video. And also, and I will include a link in the description down below, I've shared a free download about my practice routine. So you can download it and take some ideas and try to apply them. So there will be the link in the description down below, so feel free to download it, and see you next time. Happy practicing and see you soon.